Right. This I put in because people ask me, what do you do? To some I say I'm an entrepreneur, to some I say I work in PR. But very often when you say I work in PR, people go either, oh, interesting, or you can see the question mark. It's like, I have no idea. And then you get people who claim they do know and they go, oh, is that still a thing? Does it still exist? Is it still alive? You know, are you going to have an industry in 5 years? So, yeah, especially in the last year, we're compelled to constantly ask ourselves these questions, and we're compelled to constantly think about, what does PR mean? You know, what does it mean in the modern context? I mean, we've got so many additional social media channels and growing. So what does it actually mean? And in a nutshell, it's about having a favorable image in the public domain and managing that strategically in an unpaid way. And that goes through to digital and traditional. Right. Very often you hear of someone saying, I don't need PR because my cousin can write, or I don't need someone to manage my pages because, again, my niece or my aunt or my cousin can do it. So what I thought about when I did this is, what would I advise you to try? Like, what can you do yourself? So in a meaningful way, without, you know, compromising quality or impact. But what do you need to, you'll see the next slide is called Call the Doctor. So what do you need to absolutely outsource? So what do you need maybe to think about having an expert for? So as a PR person, one of the most challenging moments will always be when you look a product, when you are faced with a product that you know in your heart, this is not something, we're going to struggle with this. And that's a position you don't want to be in, because yes, sometimes you'll be thinly spread, so you'll have to do a little bit of everything if resources is a challenge. But what you need to focus on, because this is the one thing that no one else really can do for you, is what the service or the product that you put out there has to be the absolute best it can be. Because we heard about word of mouth earlier, and we can't say that enough. People talk, and they talk a lot and very quicker than, you know, years and years ago. So basically, you can't, like if you take the example of a cake, you can put as much icing on it, but if it's not delicious on the inside, it's really as simple as that. So you can have Olivia Pope, you can have the best team ever, but if the product is not solid, there's holes in your strategy already, because then you're already open to criticism, you're open to disappointment, because with a successful campaign, what we want to avoid, the biggest thing is, you know, disillusionment, customer dissatisfaction, because that is when they start talking, and that is when essentially you get a negative reputation or negative traction. So basically, you need to have a plan. You need to have a PR plan, and this counts for digital as well, so we'll talk through that in a bit. But basically, the center of that needs to be your quality product. So is your product absolutely the best it can be? Then with your PR plan, do you know what you're asking people to do? Have you done your research? Do you know who you're talking to? So then your communication needs to be clear about the call to action, the CTA as we say, because what you want people to do dictates the mechanics, meaning how you want them to do it. So again, if the call to action is to purchase something, you need to explain to people. So, and then for best results, you would integrate all of that. When we use the example of a website later, that'll be quite easy to explain. Okay, so when do we need help? On the point of Olivia Pope, when there's a crisis. So what is a crisis? Some people think everything is a crisis, I know a few. Others, yeah, so always calm and collected, but what in your, if I can ask, like what would constitute a crisis for any of you, or for some of you, or yes?
For instance, we do food products. Might be that there's a big issue that we had in production and the products came out to the public being faulty or with mold or whatever issue. So it's out there, it's already there.
Are you the chili? Yeah. Yeah. So that's a valid point, because when it comes to consumer, you cannot be you can never be too delicate with it. Yeah, I saw it on the website as well. That's why I recognize it now. So yeah, that is spot on. And the reason why you see that as a crisis is because it damages your reputation. And what does that lead to? It goes to the point where it loses income for you. Because that's in the end, having read your website, everything you stand for, the impact and how the product is set apart, and that is spot on. A crisis would be something that could lose you income because of reputation damage to that extent, essentially. And that goes for a product or for a service. And that literally brings me to the next point, because that is where customer service comes in. That is not something everybody can do. And that is because of word of mouth and the times that we live in, with everything being so quick yet so permanent, even though it is in a social realm, you need experts to help you with that. Or you need someone to at least give you the pointers, because you can't ignore things. Like if someone complains about a product, it's not in olden days where someone would phone. That thing goes, it goes. And then people pile on, and I mean, we've all seen, I don't want to even give corporate examples, but we've seen what happens when someone says, Willie stole my idea, or this, So customer service is something that you don't skimp on. If you have limited budget, you need to make sure that everything works perfectly. We've spoken about having an excellent product. Now you have an excellent product. Now it has to work properly. So if the call to action is to purchase via an e-commerce site, then make sure it's properly tested. I often, without saying, test our clients, because you need to make sure, because that's what we do, is you need to make sure that it's all perfect, and then make sure that you have a response formulated. You never want to be, that's what we would call a holding statement, you never want to be in a situation where a crisis catches you off guard, and obviously that is what a crisis is, so yes, but I can tell you from experience, you can plan for the unplanned as much as possible. Every now and then there is a nasty surprise, and I think maybe secretly we love the drama, but you can plan for the unplanned.